Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new Jurassic World Rebirth release. As you can see, this time we've got ourselves the Takara Tomy version of the Quetzalcoatlus, and it looks pretty cool, honestly. You can see the packaging is pretty much as the others have been, of course, with different images, including an image of the actual Quetzalcoatlus itself. Here on the side, some random images. Here in the back, a different shot of the Quetzalcoatlus figure, then a different image over here showing that it should be able to stand, hypothetically. And up here on the top, another shot there of the card. So let's pop this box open and check it out. So here is our card. You can, of course, see a really cool shot of the Quetzalcoatlus, as well as, I guess, some information here, almost a little captives-like as far as these cards go. And then again, the standard shot there on the back, like we've had with all of the cards. And then, of course, our Quetzalcoatlus itself. And I must say, I am very impressed with the size of this one. I wasn't expecting this one to be quite this large. It is massively larger than the older Quetzalcoatlus that Takara Tomy had released. Unfortunately, I don't have that one out to compare because I was expecting this one to be similar in size, but you can rest assured this one is quite a bit larger and also quite a bit nicer, I would say. So if we bring it in and we get a nice closer look at the head sculpt, you can see the head sculpt does look really good. You've got some nice fine detail here. One thing I will say is it doesn't perfectly follow the overall design of the Rebirth version, but it looks pretty good. You have some nice vibrant oranges up there on the top of the beak. You can also see some lighter tones within the beak as well. The inside of the mouth, of course, wide open. We can get a nice shot of the pinkish tone, or we should be able to. You can see the pinkish tone for the inside of the mouth, a different shade of pink, a lighter tone there for the tongue, which is sticking up on the inside of the mouth, and then again, that same pinkish tone up there on the top. The only downside to the head of this one is the fact that we don't have an articulated jaw, and that is upsetting. I was really expecting there to be one on this figure. But as we lead back, you can see the eye has a little orange around it, and then a nice black eye right there with a beautiful gloss coat to it. We can also see some blues, some really dark blues picking up right there and leading down into the lower part of the neck. We as well have some grays as you move up, and then we have more dark blues as we move up into those quills on the back of the neck of the Quetzalcoatlus. And then we have more blues as we move up into that little crest up there on the back of the head of the Quetzalcoatlus as well. So again, quite a bit of variation of color, a surprising amount of variation of color as I almost drop it for Takara Tomy. It does have some neck articulation as you can move the neck up and down. It can actually go pretty high. But what's good about this, and the reason for that articulation, is because as you can see, the Quetzalcoatlus is currently in a standing position, so you can have it standing, and now the head can turn down, but if you want it flying, you can put the head out, so now it has more of like a soaring look. So that is at least pretty decent. As you move down into the neck, you can see a nice vibrant orange moving along the underside of the neck. There's also a dark blue striping that leads down, and then you have like a sort of like a grayish brown. It looks more gray up here, but once you lead into the body, it looks more brown leading down here. The skin texture looks pretty decent overall as you move through. Not much in the way as far as like, you know, quills or anything on the Rebirth Quetzalcoatlus, but as you move down further, you can see again some more skin texture that actually looks really good on the figure. Again, I would say these newer Takara Tomy figures for Rebirth are some of the best that they have produced yet, especially when it comes to the texturing on some of them, and this Quetzalcoatlus would absolutely be included in that. We've got the tail as we lead down. We can even see a little bit of like tensing and musculature to the legs. As you lead into the feet, you can see the feet actually have like a pinkish or like a light orangish tone, and you see that when you look here from the front as well. Pretty smooth transition down to that tone of color. The underside of the Quetzalcoatlus pretty much just has that same sort of brownish tone that we see on the upper side. A little bit of like the blue leading down, almost in like a wash-like fashion right there around the sides of the bottom of the neck, but for the most part just that brownish tone. And then obviously we've got some nice big wings for our Quetzalcoatlus, and we've got more of those really nice oranges here on the undersides of the wings, and you can see some fairly decent fine detail, kind of like veins and stuff as you move through the wings. It all looks pretty decent, not anything overly incredible. When we turn to the top though, you have a blue, a very dark blue, so obviously a little difference when it comes to the colors from the top of the Quetzalcoatlus to the underside. You also have some nice articulation because you have the ability to kind of flap the wings up and down which is really good, and swivel those wings, and you also have one more spot right here. And again, all of that helps so that you can give your Quetzalcoatlus that nice flying pose, or, of course, fold the wings in, and then you've got a nice standing pose. So absolutely a massive plus for this figure. The only downside is that the legs don't articulate, so the feet just kind of sit there unlike the toes, so it doesn't have a perfect standing position. But for what it is, it works pretty decently. As far as a size goes, for a height when it's in its standing position, you are looking at just a hair under 3.5 inches or around 8.5 centimeters. If you go for a length on the body itself, from the beak to the feet, about 5.5 inches or 14 centimeters. And then if we go for a wingspan on the figure, you are looking at about 9 inches or around 23 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being next to our Takara Tomy Quetzalcoatlus. And you can see again, it absolutely has a decent size, especially for being a Takara Tomy figure. Most of their pterosaurs are usually much, much smaller. And then just like we did previously, we'll bring in a few Takara Tomy figures. Here we have the JP3 Ceratosaurus, which is obviously smaller. The Allosaurus as well, which just like the Ceratosaurus is a bit smaller. The Dominion Parasaurolophus, which is also significantly smaller. But then when we get into other Rebirth figures, you can see the T-Rex does have a pretty impressive size, though the Quetzalcoatlus still wins. And then finally, when it comes to the Takara Tomy comparisons, we also have the Rebirth Spino, which you can see is definitely a contender as far as the size goes, especially when it comes to its length, but the Quetzalcoatlus, I would say, still wins as far as the size. So this brand new Takara Tomy Jurassic World Rebirth Quetzalcoatlus is actually really cool, and I would say even cooler once I had it out of the box. You know, when I first looked at it on the box, I noticed the lack of an articulated jaw, and I was a little bit bummed out by that instantaneously. But once I pulled the figure out and actually got a good look and feel for it, I can say it is actually significantly nicer than I personally was expecting it to be. The sculpt is really well done when it comes to the fine detail. It's got lots of variation to the skin texture. The only thing is, I would say the skin in the wings, like the skin flaps of the wings, is definitely a little washed out, a little muted as far as the detail goes, but the body does sport some very nice fine detail. It also has a ton of color on it, which is a huge plus for this figure. The only thing that it's really missing would be painted claws, and of course if you want to make it picture perfect to the Rebirth version, you would have to add some more paintwork detail to it. But for a mass-produced toy-like version, I would say they did a pretty good job as far as adding a lot of variation of color, just not perfect to the Rebirth Quetzalcoatlus, but the sculpt does look really good as far as that goes. It also does have some fun articulation, no real awkwardness as far as this one goes, I would say, because we don't have like ball joints or that weird articulation of the tail of the Spino, so that's a plus. And I love the fact that you can get this one standing or flying and soaring. It's really your choice, but that was a really nice touch on the part of Takara Tomy. So if you are interested in this, just like with the others, I purchased this off of an eBay seller that does have them here, again located in the United States, so I will include a link in the description to his eBay shop where you can head on over there right now, grab this Quetzalcoatlus for yourself, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.